Audio Jungle.
Senseless battle for Dunship blamed for roadside violence. Assistant Commissioner of Police AC Plegan Ford Miller, the Jamaica Constabulary First Commander for Era 1, is blaming the recent outbreak of violence in Roseheids community in St. James on a battle for Dunship between former friends turned enemies. The community, which an informed source told the portal, is under the influence of three floating gangs, G6, Hellgate, and 641, grabbed the national spotlight last weekend when popular TikToker 23-year-old Marvin 41 Bossett Samuels was shot and killed in downtown Montego Bay by gunmen from the community who reportedly ambushed him. Indications are that Samuels, who live in a section of Rose Heights that is reportedly linked to the 641 gang, was not a gangster but a victim of where he lived and his non-criminal association with persons involved in gang activities. Sometimes the incidents of crime are senseless because these are persons, by virtue of what we are gathering, who would have actually known each other, but because of persons vying for donship, everyone wants to be a don. So as a result of that, friends killing friends, stated Miller. However, Miller, who had the unpleasant experience of being fired on by gunmen just few days after taking charge of the region, which spans Trelawney, St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover, is leading the fight to blunder lawlessness from the front and said the criminality plaguing the communities like Rose Heights will not be allowed to flourish under his watch. This must stop. We cannot continue as a nation like this, stated Miller, who is currently presiding over a noticeable reduction in serious crimes since taking charge in the region. In the aftermath of Summer's killing, the police acting on intelligence reportedly tracked a man they identified as Alex to an address in Orange District, where he and two other men were killed in an alleged gunfire with law enforcement. Alex was said to be a significant violence producer and the leader of the Hellgate gang. He, Alex, is one of the key players in Rose Heights. In the flare-up of violence there, stated Miller, the latest violence in Rose Heights could be seen as a case of deja vu, evoking memories of a bloody gang feud in 2010 which claimed several lives. The 2010 feud eventually cooled after the late Pastor King declared that he was not going to officiate at a funeral of any persons killed in violence unless the community signed on to the Rose Heights Convention of Peace, which he initiated. The community brought into King's initiative, which saw residents eventually apprehending other residents who were seen with illegal guns and turning them over to the police. The initiative, which also had a social component, saw young people being offered skill training to make them marketable. However, the initiative collapsed after 6 years primarily due to a lack of funding from the various programs. If we want to control crime in communities like Rose Heights, we have to find creative ways to engage and train these youngsters to become productive citizens, stated former Senior Superintendent of Police John Morris. We must stop these youngsters from seeing crime as their only option. Broken Dream. Plans by an ambitious inner-city youth to work overseas and build his dream home in Jamaica have had to be shelved after the tragic news that the Rockford East Kingston native died in a motor vehicle accident in the Cayman Islands on Boxing Day. Romario, 26, who investigators say was the driver of the Subaru sedan, died early yesterday morning following a crash on Shamrock Road near the junction of Midway Close in the Lower Valley area of Bodentown in Grand Cayman. According to the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, the single vehicle collision happened around 2:20 a.m. Reporters understand that police and other emergency services responded to the report of the deadly crash. The white Subaru was reportedly traveling eastbound when it went off the road and smashed into a tree. 3 people inside the mantled vehicle, some of whom are believed to be also Jamaicans, were taken to the Cayman Islands Hospital. Mario's father, Bikela, described Mario, as he was affectionately called, as a jovial youth. He is a loving, promising youth. He doesn't even have a police record. Him clean. He is not a troublemaker, and he is well loved, the father stated. His father left Jamaica and took Mario, his first child, under his wing in the Cayman Islands. We were living in the same place in Cayman. I came here, helped him come here. He was here working, then got involved in a car accident and lost his life, the father stated. Romario was in Cayman for 2 years and 6 months. His father told reporters, that Romario was waiting for him and keeping his money for the dream house. He was planning to build his house, but he wanted to wait until I came back. I'm returning to Jamaica soon, so he wanted to build his house, and he wanted me to do it. He wanted someone he could trust to handle his money. That was the next move for him, the grieving father stated. He told reporters that his son wanted his own place and had plans to travel back and forth working and earning his honest bread. He said he was numb when he heard the news. My sister called me first, and even though it's my sister that I relate to very well, I still couldn't face the reality, couldn't believe. I believe when I spoke to the doctor himself, I knew my sister wasn't lying, but I couldn't face the reality to know a young man like that just passed away, the father stated. The visibly broken father said even Omario's friend and colleagues at the airport in Grand Cayman, where he worked, were saddened by the fatal crash. Even here, the whole work team was at the hospital this morning. His boss called me crying. The secretary called me crying, the whole staff. I don't know how the airport ran yesterday. They were concerned and all wanted to know what happened and wanted to see him, but the protocol wouldn't allow that, Romario's father stated. Romario and his three friends in the vehicle were reportedly coming from a Christmas staff party. It was a work party, but they say he wasn't drinking, so that puzzled me. But people still can crash even when they are sober. It was raining. I spoke to the boss and he said he wasn't drinking because he was supposed to go to work the following day. He was planning to wake early and leave for work, the father stated. He said Romario was almost home when the crash occurred. Other relatives describe Romario as a good human being who got along with everybody. His younger sister gave reporters a nod of approval when asked if they had a good relationship. She was too distraught to speak at the family home. Romario's death, the latest road fatality, brings the death toll on the local roads in the Cayman Islands for 2024 to 13, three which had occurred in December. On May 13, 2024, three Jamaicans were killed in a fiery vehicle crash about 12:15 a.m. Those killed were Shakari Stewart, 41, Junior Whittaker, 30, and 53-year-old Vinroy Fletcher Grant. All three were living and working in the Grand Cayman. Trade unionists forecast more industrial unrest in 2025. President of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, UK's Vincent Morrison, is forecasting multiple industrial unrest in the public and private sectors in 2025. In an interview, Mr. Morrison warned that Jamaica's trade unions will not accept the 46% inflation rate guideline being touted by the Bank of Jamaica in the next round of negotiations. He said workers are growing frustrated with the high cost of living and the low wage being offered by these employers, especially those companies who have the workers for the past 14 to 15 years on fixed-term contracts, no pension, no overtime payment, and the offers coming from a lot of companies right across Jamaica is 4 to 6% increase when cost of living inflation is very much more than 4%, Mr. Morrison argued. The Bank of Jamaica seems to be pushing very hard to institute a wage guideline of 4 to 6%. We are saying that is not fair. We are saying that companies that make super profit that can pay more than 4 to 6% should pay, he pointed out as he commended companies like Seprad, who he said have paid workers a 10% increase in year 1 and 9% in year 2. Mr. Morrison disclosed that the island's trade unions will be making a major push to sign up workers in the tourism sector in 2025. Over the last several weeks, tourism workers have been staging protests over low wages, poor working conditions, and fixed-term contracts which deny them benefits. Many have expressed a desire to join a union. Mr. Morrison said the unions have been having discussions with the workers. We have had contact from a number of the companies working in a number of hotels and will be launching massive organizing drive come January-February in the industries next year. Again, we are hoping that we'll get the Corporation of Management and also the Ministry of Labor in an effort to have these claims settled promptly on behalf of the hotel and tourism workers. The trade unionists warned that the tourism, security guard industry, backside and alumni as well as the manufacturing sector will likely be the hotspots of unrest in the upcoming year. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.